even beyond the heartland. You sense he is, for most, the sentimental choice.
I don't think there's any room for compassion. I mean, we're playing a football game, and if he wasn't playing us for the national championship, I'd root for him.
To Tom Osborne, this is a familiar face of January, the face of another fierce Miami team, at home in the Orange Bowl, and prepared to deny the Cornhuskers a national title. Or is this finally the night when Nebraska's proud native son brings to an end his long New Year's nightmare? Balmy winter's night, you might call it hurricane weather. Tonight, in their home stadium, the Orange Bowl, where they have won 62 of their last 63 games, the number 3 Miami Hurricanes beat number 1 and undefeated Nebraska, seeking to become college football's national champions. It's another sellout of 78,000 for this 61st Orange Bowl game, and although the Nebraska Cornhuskers may have one of their finest teams ever, and though you'll see plenty of Nebraska supporters clad in red tonight, this is still their formidable task. To win here, in this Miami sound machine, where the Hurricanes have lost only once since 1985, and but for a single bad quarter against Washington back in September, the Hurricanes would themselves be undefeated and poised to win their 5th national title in 12 seasons. As it is, Miami does have a slim chance to win the title, but the Canes must beat the Cornhuskers tonight and hope that somehow number 2 Penn State loses to Oregon in tomorrow's Rose Bowl. Only Nebraska can get by without any help. If they win tonight, they're the champs, no matter what happens anywhere else.
Definitely see Brooke Behringer in the first half, probably in the first quarter. That's it from the field, Bob. Back to you.
Thanks, John. Well, it is an unusual situation when you have a Miami game and the focus is not on the Miami quarterback. After all, 5 of the school's recent alumni at the position are now playing in the NFL. Frank Costa is the current starter. He's had a stormy career with the Hurricanes, in part because he's been battered by unreasonable expectations.
This year I can care less what a fan will say. I can care less what a newspaper reporter said. I can care less what a radio person says. I really don't care. They could say whatever they want about me. As long as we win football games, that's all that matters.
At Miami, winning and winning big is expected. Last season, after a loss to rival Florida State in Game 5, a large measure of the blame was dumped on the team's junior quarterback. He was ripped on the radio and by Miami's vocal football alumni. Frank Costa wound up being benched, and sophomore Ryan Collins replaced him for the remainder of an unspectacular year. The anger of 1993 is still evident.
But I wasn't real happy with my situation, and that wasn't very happy with what happened to me. So, really, there was some negative thoughts toward Coach Erickson, the coaching staff, and the players, and the city of Miami, really, because it seemed like everything was just coming down on me.
Such is the price of failure, real or perceived, and the level of expectation at Miami, where notable predecessors include Jim Kelly and Bernie Kosar, who took the Canes to their first national title, and Vinny Testaverde, the 1986 Heisman Trophy winner.
It'd be nice to be mentioned in the same breath with those guys because they're great players, but I know all those guys, and they're human beings just like me, and I can't get trouble for that. That's something that the public's going to do, and they're going to group me however they want to group me. And if you do win a national championship, people are going to respect you. If you don't, then they're going to, bash you apart and rip you apart. This game's going to, tell a lot of where I stand in the history of Miami quarterbacks.
Although he may not measure up to some of his predecessors at Miami, Costa is still a better passer than either Nebraska's Frazier or Behringer, and he could very well deliver a big game tonight. Now, late in his resume, the Cornhuskers last won the national crown when they did it back in the early 70s under Bob Devaney. As you heard John Dockery say, he will play, may very well play in the first quarter. 7-0 in relief. If he had had a few more passing attempts, he would have qualified for a national ranking in passing efficiency, and he would have ranked as high as 7th. And the Miami Hurricanes September 24th, as a matter of fact. That's their only loss on this field since 19...
Warren Sapp, the Lombardi Trophy winner. His coach, Dennis Erickson, says he can dominate a game much like Hurricane defensive line greats of the past, like Russell Maryland and Cortez Kennedy. And he can be pretty aggressive, too. I thought he was going to come after you when you asked him if Nebraska could run the ball on Miami.
Yeah, when you stood up to run, I think you actually scared him back in his seat, and I want to thank you for that. But it was interesting, we were talking to Zach Wiegert to find out who the better man is. And this is a great team to do it against the Miami Hurricanes. They'll just sit there in that 4-3 defense. They're not going to run. They're not going to hide. It'll be one of those matchups. We'll find out who the better man is.
Now, there's one other unit we haven't mentioned, and we should. The Nebraska defense, highly rated, and a different Nebraska defense than we've seen in the past.
Absolutely. This is a defense built around speed, especially at the cornerback position. These guys in the past, especially last year against FSU in that Orange Bowl game, proved that they can go against the very best receivers in the country. And even when they got off the line of scrimmage, Baron Miles and Tyrone Williams able to stay right with these guys. We expect that same kind of matchup this evening.
And there is a look at Dennis Erickson. He says that he will listen to potential NFL offers after this game. And Tom Osborne, 3 times he has played for a national championship. How many more times will he have the chance? Field position for the Hurricanes on their first possession. So Frank Costa getting some last-minute instructions before he leads this Hurricane offensive unit. We're not used to the offensive unit of the Hurricanes being inconsistent as this one has been, but they are capable of some big numbers. First down, spot the ball at the Miami 42. First possession for the Canes, scoreless first quarter. Costa straight back, first down pass, incomplete, short hopped. His intended receiver, Jonathan Harris. So Costa perhaps a little jittery.
And there really was the key matchup, Tom. Jonathan Harris, they feel like they don't have any safety on the Nebraska defense that can cover Jonathan Harris. They have fine corners on the outside, but Miami really feels that if they can get Jonathan Harris matched up on Beelan or Ed Stewart or one of the linebackers, they'll win that battle every time.
3 wide receiver formation, 2nd and 10. Hand off to Stewart. James Stewart crosses the field. He is stopped by Veland. Miami lines up this way offensively. That offensive line keyed by unanimous All-Big East center Casey Jones. The line positions vary according to formation. Weak side away from the tight end. Strong side with the tight end. Costa passed for 2,400 yards this season. Stewart the top rusher. Chris T. Jones leading receiver. It's a 5 wide receiver formation here. This is a situation Nebraska in the past has shown blitz. From the gun. Costa's pass complete to Tellison. Knocked out of bounds in Nebraska territory at the 43 by linebacker Ed Stewart. There's that running back on linebacker matchup again. Good for 9 yards.
Anytime you're trying to play safeties and outside linebackers against wide receivers, a very difficult matchup. Ed Stewart is an outside linebacker. Now, he's a former defensive back. They feel like that they can cover people inside, but one of the reasons that Stewart was moved to linebacker was his inability to play man-to-man coverage. He is going to be under the gun all night tonight.
First down, Miami. Costa. Wide open. Pass taken by Chris T. Jones for a gain of about 7 yards before to Miami in scoring defense nationally. Christian Peter leads the team with 7 sacks. Connolly has 6.5. Keneally, senior weak side linebacker Ed Stewart, we've talked about him. He does lead the Huskers in tackles. And cornerback Baron Miles, who made that last hit, had 5 interceptions to lead the Big 8 Conference. 2nd and 3. 3 wides, bottom of the screen. Tellison in the slot. Almost prematurely across the line. Let's see.
One thing I never did on the football field, take my helmet off, especially when a fight was starting.
I usually notice you going the other way when that fight started.
The blitz, number 32, Ed Stewart, started to move in there. and they were in man coverage. I'll tell you one thing for this Nebraska defense, they're not afraid. They've been playing man coverage throughout the start of this game.
This is a Big Ten officiating crew tonight. Ron Winter, the referee, a professor at Western Michigan University from Kalamazoo. Now 2nd and 8. Costa hands off. Stewart breaking tackles, only 5 yards a carry. Made second team All Big East.
Boy, what a body he has. 6'3", 245, runs a 4.4. Those are numbers that make pro scouts absolutely drool.
Was second in the Florida State 100 meters back in his days at Vero Beach High School. Harris in motion. Costa wings it complete. Chris T. Jones to the 30-yard line. Miami first down. Gain of 18 yards. Baron Miles on the play, and Miles, regarded as the best cover man in the Nebraska secondary, has been picked on twice by the Canes' leading catcher, Chris T. Jones.
James Stewart, the fullback, is going to make a tremendous block on the blitz pickup. He picks up Ed Stewart. That allows Costa to step up, make the throw, and the big first down. Right now, Nebraska's defensive backfield and their corners, Baron Miles, an excellent corner, is just playing a little bit too conservatively. He's a much better player when he gets up into bump and run, gets a little closer to the receivers.
Just inside the 20, first down Miami, scoreless first quarter. This is the 7th play of the Hurricane drive. Flags down.
Miami is taking the ball and moving it right down the field against them.
1st and 5 for the Canes, just inside the 15. Frank Costa has hit 3 of his first 4 passes. Number 5 coming up. Hit as he released it, and it will sail out of bounds incomplete. Pressure on him that time from Phil Ellis, a blitzing linebacker. Pass intended for A.C. Tellison.
Frank Costa told us the other day that he knew he was going to get hit in this game. You can't spread your receivers out this wide and not take a couple of shots. He said, but for every time I get hit, I also know we have the potential for a big play. There's Phil Ellis, the man that anchors this Nebraska defense that has just been terrific this year.
Opponents inside the 20 this season. And the Canes up to 15. Play clock to 1. Got it off. Stewart can't get outside. Dropped for a loss by the Nebraska defense, led by Tony Veland, the safety, who came up in a hurry for run support.
On the tackle for Nebraska.
Tony Veland, a former quarterback who's really had so many injuries in his career, to the collarbone, to the knee. He's still not running 100%. Didn't even play safety until the fall practice this year, but he has been a dynamic force. Their coaches tell me that next year, when his speed gets back to 100% and that knee is feeling good again, he will unquestionably be a pro prospect.
The junior from Omaha actually was the #1 quarterback at one point in Nebraska before switching over to the D. On the 9th play, it's 3rd and long. A crossing pattern complete to Jones. Flag down as Chris T. Jones is all the way to the 8-yard line. If it stands, it'll be enough for a first down. Veland and Moss, the safeties, tackling Jones after making his 3rd reception if it stands. It will not.
On the tackle for Nebraska. Flags are down.
A year ago, he spoke individually with each returning player, laying the foundation for this year's return to prominence and a chance at the national championship. He said he's staying at Miami, but told us he would listen to other offers after this bowl game.
That's it. Offense. A 15-yard penalty spot. Repeat 3rd down.
15-yard.
Underneath him. Don't really agree with the call. I don't think that was in any way an intentional pick. It was basically his own defense. There is nobody to pick.
Ball is against Miami. 3rd and
Well, the call did go against the Canes, and it puts the ball back at the 34-yard line. Now 3rd and 24. Quarterback draw. Costa dives to the 25-yard line, well short of the Frank Costa.
But, Tom, I thought it was really a smart play that time by Frank Costa. They needed about 10 yards in order to put their team in field goal position. Doesn't matter if you throw it, run it, whatever. Looked like Frank Costa had it in his mind to try and find an opening and get that thing in field goal range, and that's exactly what he's able to do.
So Dane Pruitt is on to attempt a 44-yard field goal. He's hit 13 of 14 this season. Baron Miles, the blocking specialist for Nebraska. Miles didn't get there. Pruitt's kick is good. Dane Pruitt with a 44-yard field goal, capping Miami's first possession of the game. And the Canes go up on Nebraska 3-0. He's never had worse than an A, ever, at any level. Frazier lofts it downfield. Muhammad, double covered. Interception made by Carlos Jones of Miami.
You're not going to run by Carlos Jones. He's the fastest player on this team. And it was his interception against FSU that put the game away. It looked for a moment like Abdul Muhammad was going to be open, and now watch Carlos Jones turn on the Jets and just simply go over the top. He has not been beaten deep the entire season for the Miami Hurricanes.
Frazier threw it right into double coverage that time.
First and 10 for Miami from their own 3-yard line.
As he throws his third interception of the season. Coach Tom Osborne gave the word to Brooke Berringer, the backup quarterback. Berringer nodding and then going to the ball bag. So it looks like the Huskers are going to the pen. Berringer will be on the next time they have the ball. In the meantime, Miami backed up to the 3 after the interception. They come with a 2 tight end formation to try to bang it out of there, leading 3-0. Driven back, got to the line of scrimmage and not much more.
That play to Warren Sapp.
So Frazier will watch the next series apparently, and Berringer will come on as they go over the notes together. However, Miami is still backed up. No gain on their first play. It's 2nd and 10 from the 3. Costa with play action. And the pass caught. Jamie German with a Miami first down, a gain of 17 to the 20. And once again, Baron Miles victimized by Costa.
Jamie German, one of the fastest players on this Miami team. Baron Miles, a terrific defensive back, but doesn't have great speed. And this is about as far off as I've seen him play throughout the course of this year, showing a lot of respect for these Miami receivers. And as long as Baron Miles continues to back up in that way, they will continue to pick on him.
Baron Miles, as Berringer warms up, has 3 times been victimized as we come inside the minute 30 mark, first quarter. Costa going deep. And the pass is caught by Tellison. A.C. Tellison all the way to the 35-yard line of the Cornhuskers. A gain of 44 yards. Costa to Tellison.
Tellison working just one-on-one. This time they go after the other corner, Tyrone Williams. I should say in Tyrone Williams' defense, he's getting absolutely no help in the middle of the field. This is just one-on-one football. These corners are going to have an awfully difficult night tonight.
Minute left first quarter. Canes first down at the 37 of the Huskers, leading 3-0. Stewart twisting, turning to the 35-yard line. Gain of 2, tackled by Ed Stewart.
Start bringing these safeties up to the line of scrimmage to help against the run. Now you're left on a complete island on the outside, one-on-one against the speedy Miami receivers.
Nebraska 35.
Boy, oh boy, are they putting those guys in a tough position.
And this Erickson telling us they were going to look for Tellison at times when they brought the safeties up, usually from a slot position. And it paid off for 44 yards. 2nd and 8. Closing seconds, first quarter. Quick drop. Costa swings it complete. Jones to the 15. Jones for the touchdown. Team, it's pretty hard to keep up with the Joneses. They have 7 of them. That was Trent Jones that just took it 35 yards from Costa for the score. 97-yard Miami drive. Remember, it began on their own 3-yard line. Pruitt for the extra point. It's good.
The flanker screen with the other receivers blocking against man coverage, almost impossible to defend. Charlie McBride, the defensive coordinator, said this play should be outlawed. And when Trent Jones gets in the open field,
And the hurricane warnings are up. 10-0 Miami.
He's getting coached now on the sideline. He looked back into the backfield for Frank Costa, lost his man for just a moment, and simply could not catch up. Stewart right here will look back, and it was just that split second that allowed Trent Jones to swing out away from him and make the touchdown.
And Stewart continues to get instruction on the sideline as Dane Pruitt set to kick off from Miami. Or Scarrett out of the sky.
I tell you what, he is tremendous, just so athletic.
Total yard advantage for the Canes. Stewart cut back to the 24-yard line. Gain of nearly 14 yards before Ed Stewart makes the tackle.
Tom, this defense is too good to be blown out the way that they are, just running the football at will, throwing the football at will. And for Tom Osborne, who is desperately trying to win that first national championship, this just has to be a horrible sight.
James Stewart from Vero Beach, Florida, used to go over to Dodger Town, the Los Angeles Dodgers training complex as a youth. Football was always his game, though. Costa going down the sideline for Tellison, who can't hold on. There's a flag down. It may be another offensive interference call.
Might be hurt. I agree with your initial assessment, though, Tom. It did look like Tellison turned around and pushed off just as the ball was arriving.
Pass it. Offense. Penalized half the distance to the previous spot. First.
Just before the ball got there, Tellison with a push. Great call by the officials. Good position there by Kareem Moss.
To the face, too.
That's not too difficult to call.
Tellison, the worse for wear after that, holding his left arm and elbow, perhaps, maybe even the shoulder.
And Tom, one of the significant things about his being injured is that he's the hot receiver. He's the guy that is supposed to make the reads if Nebraska comes with blitzes. So this may be a difficult situation game plan-wise for the Miami coaching staff.
Ball back at the 12-yard line. Draw play handoff. Stewart to the 15-yard line. He got only 3. Let's go to the sideline and John Dockery. Stewart cut back to the 24-yard line. Gain of nearly 14. From Vero Beach, Florida. Used to go over to Dodger Town, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
to the 15-yard. If they are losing their composure a bit, it's because this is a situation they haven't faced this season. Someone doing this to one of the best defenses in college football. Quick drop, Costa flipped it behind his intended receiver, the tight end, Daphnis.
And Tom, that's exactly what I was talking about. Nebraska coming with the blitz, Frank Costa having to throw a hot, and it was not successful. Now let's see whether or not
It'll be a 5-receiver formation for Costa on 3rd down and 19. And a flag down before the. Is he getting on his players or the officials?
but Dennis is going to be a little.
That answer that question.
Generally, those stripe-shirted guys.
Costa's pass complete to German. Jamie bounces off tacklers, reversing his field and hit again at the 11-yard line. Good swarming defense that time by the Cornhuskers, led by Grant Wistrom.
Now that's the kind of Nebraska defense we grew accustomed to seeing this year. Aggressive, coming after the players, pursuing from behind, using their speed. That time, Grant Wistrom,
blocking specialist, 7 in his career. They're ready for him. He still put a little pressure on, but Pruitt kicks it out of there to the 49 of Nebraska. And Moss bounced off one man and got it back to
as well. Watch the activity at the end of this play. Booker Pickett will make the hit, lie on top of him, and then a little typical Miami stuff.
10-14 left in the half. It's been all Miami.
Put in 5 defensive linemen, take out a corner, puts too much pressure on the safety and the defensive backfield. The play action away. A false step that time by Malcolm Pearson. And Mark Gilman wide open for the touchdown.
So Brooke Berringer comes off the bench for Tom Osborne and throws the touchdown pass. And just like that, Nebraska's back in the game. Costa chased from the pocket, running and down, sacked. There's a penalty marker down. Troy Dumas gets credit for the sack.
Seen this kind of speed on a defense, the way that Nebraska plays, but another timeout. Costa not come.
Play clock was at 3, as you saw, as Costa called Miami's first timeout. It comes with 7:22 left in the half, and the momentum beginning to swing the other way.
Frank Costa benched last year after the FSU game. He's been much ridiculed on radio and in the newspapers here locally. It really got to him a year ago. He actually regressed after the benching. He didn't eat, he couldn't sleep, lost 20 pounds, used to get up in the middle of the night and drive around to try and shake it off. But this year, a different guy, a different story, a much tougher Frank Costa.
Grew up in Philadelphia, a Penn State fan of all things. Costa to the sideline. Pass is caught by Christy Jones. He went upstairs and made a great grab. Pretty good coverage by Tyrone Williams, but it goes for 15 yards and a first down.
And Tomers at Miami. They have always had playmakers at the wide receiver position. Not a great throw by Frank Costa, but Christy Jones just goes up and makes the play. Knows he's going to get hit in the back. Wobbly pass, still able to pull it down. Playmakers.
The senior from West Palm, #1 receiver for the Canes. 3 catches for 40 yards. Keep it on the ground.
I know when Frank Costa was in his down period last year, you had a conversation with him. Can you share that with us?
Well, Frank's had actually an excellent career at UM, and he's taken a little bit of flack, and he got down for a little bit. But I've been friends with him for a few years, and he's an excellent quarterback, and there's a lot that he has to live up to being a quarterback at the University of Miami. I think he's done a great job with it.
What advice do you give him when he was feeling all that pressure and he lost his starting job?
Well, all I really told him was just have confidence in yourself, and don't get down, because your time will come again. He's done a great job with it this year.
And his time has good to come again. Thank you, Bernie.
Here's Here's Costa trying to set up a screen, and it's well covered by Nebraska. There is a flag down.
And Tom, just to finish that story by Bernie Kosar, that telephone call actually took place when all the controversy surrounding Bernie in Cleveland was going on. A very big move by a tremendous guy, Bernie Kosar.
Costa would grow that thick skin. He doesn't listen anymore to the criticism, doesn't let it get him down as it did last year. Much better outlook, much better production. When he was home in Philly at Christmas time, all his friends said, "You guys got to beat Nebraska for Penn State, okay?" And he said, "Hey, if we beat Nebraska, we're rooting for Oregon."
Still a big fan of Joe Paterno, though. Had tremendous praise for Joe Paterno. Actually might have gone there, except for the fact that Kerry Collins and John Sackett already signed to play with Penn State, and so they made the decision to come to Miami.
Wearing a little bit of Orange Bowl sod on this 2nd and 24. Somebody was offside. Maybe Cy Tucker, the Miami tight end. Could be a legal procedure against the Hurricanes.
And Miami, sorry Tom, Miami is just sloppy right now. They are not playing the way that they are capable. And the blocking tight ends, they start looking around, trying to figure out exactly where the pressure will come from next.
And the Nebraska defense, after seemingly recovering from the initial shot, playing much better. There's a pass dropped. The stopping has continued. Same man that was offside, or that had the false start, Cy Tucker, defended by the linebacker Phil Ellis.
That time a tremendous read by Frank Costa. They came with the pressure again. This is a hot read. Cy Tucker just flat out dropped it. You see him get his head immediately around, and that was a big play.
There's only 9 receptions all season. Maybe that's why.
Can't believe it.
3rd and 29. Let's see if Nebraska comes after them.
Look at the draw.
No blitz. Costa throws it straight up in the air. Trying to settle under it is Yatil Green. And it went up so high it gave Nebraska a chance to surround it, and it falls incomplete. Baron Miles was the man that got there first.
Nebraska is going to get great field position to start this drive. 6:11 remaining now until the half. Don't take your eyes off of Baron Miles, number 14 for Nebraska.
And watch the snap, too. Good snap. Run away with no problem, but not a very good one. Hits at the Miami 40, takes a good clean bounce. Fumbled for a moment by Moss.
These young guys, you know, you almost forget the fact that they're 20, 21, 22, 23 years old, and they may well be starting to feel it.
Well, coming up Tuesday, NBC. Costa, crossing pattern. It's complete to the 15 or 16-yard line to Chris T. Jones, and Costa whacked in the end zone.
And they are now meeting at the quarterback. No question about the strategy now for the Cornhuskers. They've made the decision. They cannot allow Frank Costa to sit back and try to work it down the field. They would much rather take their chances in man-to-man coverage and allow their big guys to bring the heat.
Defensive coordinator of the Cornhuskers,
Charlie McBride, like what he's doing with this defense.
From the 17. Stewart breaks free to the outside. Stewart down the sideline, bumped out of bounds, just short of the 40. Baron Miles got over to knock him out, but not until big James Stewart rambled for 21 yards.
Tom, I think you've got it the other way around. James Stewart almost knocked out Baron Miles at the end of this play. Huge hole over on the right side. Rick Perry, probably their second best offensive line, with a great pin block, and then little Baron Miles. Oh, boy.
46 yards already, 3:29 left, first half. Miami leading Nebraska 10-7 in the FedEx Orange Bowl. Costa from the shotgun, rifles it high over Taz Johnson's head and incomplete. the best record in Division I. Tom Osborne, 58-11-1. Osborne ranks as the winningest coach, active coach currently if you go back through his career. But since '89, Erickson among the elite.
And still the heat on Dennis Erickson in this town. He says the expectations are simply unreal here.
One of the reasons he may depart for the NFL. Costa hit as he threw it. It sails incomplete over the head of Trent Jones. Dwayne Harris was the man that popped Costa that time, and he's taking a beating.
And it's just like a heavyweight championship fight. You just want to keep pounding the quarterback. Nice inside move there by Dwayne Harris. And eventually those hits.
Bang. Almost every play, he's taken a solid hit.
And almost every play by a different guy.
And his production has fallen dramatically. Costa got away, and his man dropped the ball. Marcus Wimberly had a first down and dropped the football.
And Marcus Wimberly would not be in the game but for the injury to A.C. Tellison. We saw earlier Chris T. play, and Frank Costa knows that he has to have his guys make those sort of plays. I think Warren Sapp wants this one.
I might avoid him when I go to the sideline if I'm Wimberly. Fair catch called at the 25-yard line and taken by Moss, a 37-yard punt. Here's a fight and a flag. A couple of players, I know Antonio Coley of Miami and Eric Stokes of Nebraska were going at it. Warren Sapp and the Miami defense. It's a 10-7 Miami lead, and Rohan Marley there, who has returned to action in this Orange Bowl after an injury, talking to Warren Sapp. But did we enjoy our conversation with Rohan or not? You know, he's the son of the late rap star Bob Marley, and when he came in the room, not rap star, reggae star, and he entertained us.
He was singing all the way through our interview.
Ferguson in the game, gets the call and takes a hit, thrown back by Phil Ellis and others in the Nebraska defense, and that will be the final play of the first half. Nebraska broke out of the gate in a hurry, built a 10-point lead before the Cornhuskers behind Brooke Behringer got the momentum. Let's go to John Dockery.
Coach, can you give us your overview of the first half?
Well, the bottom line, we got too many penalties. We're making too many mistakes. We're moving the ball up and down the field, playing great defense, and we make penalties and put ourselves in bad field position. And we got all the penalties. They don't have any. That's the difference in the first half.
Did the team just lose some concentration? You started off so
If I
high.
had the answer, we wouldn't do it, John.
Okay, Tom, back up to you, Tom.
All right, John Dockery, Miami, the momentum early. Nebraska got back into it.
Rob Zadiska dreams of tackling tough subjects.
Miami, Mike.
Well, what Miami has to do, they have to run the football, believe it or not. They have got to put some rushing yardage up there to try to keep the defense on. What's happening right now, Nebraska's blitzing them quite a bit. They're also going to have a side adjustment between the receiver and the quarterback. Costa's playing a good football game, but he's going to get killed back there unless those receivers pick up the side adjustment on the blitz.
All right, guys, 10-7 Hurricanes leading the Huskers at halftime. Let's turn
First
now
half. And Nebraska had the ball in good position for most of that first half. Miami was an offense of big plays, over half their yards coming on
22-yard line. Frank Costa still at quarterback. Stewart, the lone setback. First down pass. Costa wings it complete. Chris T. Jones with another catch. He's across the 25 to the 27.
That time against Baron Miles, they need to find a way to get him the football.
They have gotten it to him 5 times for 54 yards.
But as a wide receiver, when you're playing against man coverage, you want it all the time.
And remember, latter stages of the half, they were starting to put tremendous pressure on Costa. One of the reasons he didn't have the luxury of surveying his receivers. Stewart bounces to the outside.
refuses to classify himself as a fullback, despite being 245 pounds. We asked him, wouldn't you like to just take it against this smaller Nebraska defense and just pound it in there time after time? He said, no. He said, that wears in your body. I don't need any of that.
That's a carry for the season. Another first down pass. This time it's complete across midfield to Jermaine Chambers. Miles and Veland get him, but not until he gains 14. And the aerial game of the Canes begins to click again.
You know, it's interesting now.
Tom Osborne sees the Hurricanes drive off their opening possession of the second half. Now with a first down at the Cornhusker 45. It's 10-7. Stewart. The safeties appear to be holding their ground this time now, beginning to creep a little bit, as you see. No blitz. Costa's pass to a wide open Harris. Jonathan Harris cuts back. He's to the 15, to the outside. Harris racing for the end zone. Touchdown. There is a penalty flag at about the 2-yard line. It's against Miami.
Tom, that may well have been for excessive celebration after the touchdown.
It is.
In that case, the touchdown will stand.
So excessive celebration, the touchdown will stand, the penalty will come on the kickoff.
If that was the matchup we talked about at the beginning of the game, Jonathan Harris one-on-one against anybody. When we talked to him, he said, I want to be the man. Get me the football, especially against that man.
To the day where Harris goes for 44 yards.
Penalty is unsportsmanlike conduct on Miami.
Jonathan, the quick strike Miami offense, this time in the person of Jonathan Harris.
That's what he told us yesterday. I told you they can't cover me. No way. One-on-one coverage. A huge cushion against him. Kareem Moss just giving him all sorts of room. That was the matchup. Jonathan Harris against the safeties from Nebraska. It cannot work for Nebraska.
Frank Costa celebrates another touchdown pass. It puts the Canes up by 10.
If we could just get him to open up a little bit. Come out.
Fair catch. Makes it at the 14-yard line. He's hit. It was a 36-yard punt. And I guess no penalty because he was juggling the football, I presume. It looked like the violation of the fair catch signal. Nebraska showing first down blitz. They don't come, and Costa has time. Wings it way downfield, overshooting his intended receiver, Chris T. Jones, defended by Eric Stokes. Well, these Orange Bowl appearances, national championship, 381 winning percentage, and Osborne's Huskers have dropped the last 7 in a row. He is giving one last reminder to his offensive unit. He calls the plays, the offense very much his responsibility. Looking for the defense to make a stop here. Stewart on the delayed handoff. Flag, a late one coming in. Terwilliger and Coleman on the tackle for Nebraska.
Flags are down on the play.
And another late flag as the players were getting up off the ground.
Coleman on the tackle for Nebraska.
That'll be the 9th penalty against the Hurricanes. Well, actually,
2 fouls. Look like a chop block and a personal foul against Miami.
Illegal block and a personal foul.
They may have to back him up into the cheap seats.
all the way over to Joe Robbie. Obviously, Ron Winter's mic is not working.
I believe what that is an illegal crack. When you come outside in as a wide receiver and make a block on someone inside, you have to stay above the waist. Apparently one of the wide receivers came back in and cracked below the waist.
Canes approaching 100 yards in penalties, while Osborne's group only 2 for 15 yards. The ball sent all the way back inside the 5 to about the 3-yard line. The ball just over the 3.
Boy, does Nebraska's defense need a big play now.
Receivers, nobody back there but Costa in the end zone. Being chased, and that'll be a safety. Dwayne Harris, the senior from Bessemer, Alabama, with his 6th sack of the season and a safety, 2 points for the Cornhuskers.
Well, you call for it, and Dwayne Harris delivers. Here's a guy with a 7-foot wingspan. And watch him stick out one of those big paws and make the play on Frank Costa. They say that he reminds him of Neil Smith, the great from the Kansas City Chiefs. Going to send out that big hook and just pull him down with one arm. And now Nebraska has some much-needed momentum. Good inside move. Sort of a scary picture, isn't it?
It
to see
is
one of
indeed.
those big guys coming at you.
From ground level. So the sack in the end zone, the safety, and now Miami will free kick from the 20-yard line. So the Hurricanes call a timeout with 9:46 left with a mix-up on their defensive alignment. It's 17-9 Hurricanes. Zev the left tackle of the Canes out. Brown is in. Quick pass complete. German. Short gain on the play.
The more bodies you had, the more eggs you got.
That's a body.
Plenty of eggs in it.
Costa's pass. Incomplete. Diving attempt made by Trent Jones. He couldn't come up with it.
Opposed to short, because you don't want to have someone cutting in, making the interception, and getting the cheap touchdown. This is a tremendously big play in the ballgame, though, for Nebraska's defense. They need to get the ball back to their offense.
Meanwhile, Osborne thinking ahead, talking to his quarterback. That pass complete. Wimberly made the catch, and it's a Miami first down to the 25-yard line. Ellison lost the tackle, but it gained 13 yards to Wimberly, who dropped one earlier. Sure hands this time.
Costa recognizing the difference. You see the lack of pressure, and then simply finding the hole in the zone.
Warren Sapp applauding the offense. Done everything tonight. James Stewart, the lone running back, gets the handoff from Costa. Ran into his own blocker and can't turn the corner. The pursuit catches up, led by Dumas and Ellis to bump him out of bounds.
Fighting in World War II, and all Tom Osborne ever wanted to do growing up was just please his father.
Between the ages of 5 and 10, his dad was overseas. He said he really didn't know his father that well when he returned from the war. Costa's pass complete to Chris T. Jones. To the 35-yard line. He'll be about a yard short of the first down, apparently, as Baron Miles hit him hard.
Interesting things about this Miami offense. Nice catch there. I think that kid's super. Chris T. Jones can make some tough catches, and Frank Costa's taking his shots as well. One of the things about this Miami offense is they never get in. Costa was down, but he's now back up. They never get in third and short situations. I mean, they just strictly are a big play team. They're going to continue to take their shots, and right now those shots are working.
As you see, it was enough for a first down.
That's how I really like this Frank Costa. I mean, you've got to be happy for the kid. He was totally broken a year ago. His spirit was absolutely gone. Losing 20 pounds. He told us he got in the car one night. He couldn't sleep. Drove, almost made it to Orlando, which is like 4 hours away, and more or or less just said, you know, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not listening to talk radio. I'm not reading newspapers anymore. I don't care what anybody says about me. I'm just going out and doing my job.
Got his degree in August in business management, now working on his master's degree. He's going to pursue pro football. If that doesn't work, he'll go back to grad school. And he's mad now because he's had to burn another timeout with the linemen shifting from one side to the other side and unable to get in the proper formation. It gives us a chance to visit with John Dockery.
You know, Tom, there's a lot of confusion on the sidelines regarding the offensive line. I know you and Chris have noticed it, but Kerlin Blaze, the freshman, number 79, is playing at tackles. They're swapping Perry and Blaze, and they actually benched Zev Lumelski for poor play, and part of it was the safety. So the offensive line for Miami right now is in disarray, and you saw it there as they couldn't get settled, and Costa had to call a timeout. So they have problems on offense.
Dennis Erickson questioning Fate. And you know, we told you at the start of the game that Miami flops its line weak side, strong side, and apparently that was the mix-up there. You saw them trying to change positions in the line.
And then all of a sudden you substitute one guy for another, and so the right tackle is now playing the left tackle, and all of a sudden he says strong, he says, okay, I'm supposed to go weak, or I'm supposed to go strong, and the other guy goes strong, and he goes weak, and then you call a timeout.
Kerlin Blaze is number 79. He's the freshman from Orlando, and Lumelski has taken a seat. As Doc said, apparently the result of that sack the last time Miami had the ball in the end zone for a safety.
Talking with the coaching staff from Miami, they were really hoping. The comment that was made to me is, I hope Kerlin Blaze doesn't have to play in this one. Well, too late for that. He's in there.
First down, ball at the 36. Miami leads 17-9. In around to Harris. Looked like it might go. Costa awaits the snap on the 7th play of the drive. Stewart got around the corner and has another first down. The pass is the one which lost the streak. I have to live with that. That was his reaction to Washington beating them after they had won 58 in a row here at the Orange Bowl.
And he's the guy that keeps all those freshman and sophomore receivers calm. He's, a lot of those guys, they run around their hands, shake their knees, knock, and it's my job just to get them on the field sometimes.
Ball resting on the midfield stripe. Fake the reverse. Costa's pass short of Stewart as he was feeling the pressure from Jason Pesterfield.
Picked himself up tonight. Nice job there by Pesterfield, just splitting through there. A walk-on, a guy that didn't have a scholarship when he showed up in Nebraska, but was able to prove to Tom Osborne,
Senior from Pauls Valley, Oklahoma, graduated last month with a 3.12 in marketing.
Well, maybe that guy just jumped. I don't know exactly how they missed that one.
Fat and nasty in the proper place there.
Can you steal your shirt?
If I ate as much as you do, I would weigh up there. Just short of midfield now is Costa. They're ready for it that time. The pass complete to Green, and Miles hit him immediately.
Green. Miles on the coverage for Nebraska.
Flanker screen once again, and Baron Miles has seen enough of this one. This time, as soon as he sees the inward motion, he broke immediately for the football.
Dennis Erickson wanted a roughing the kicker penalty. And the fans, the partisan Miami fans, let their feelings be known.
That was very close indeed to a roughing the kicker. It was a good fake that
Yep.
That was not even close, like I said, to being roughing the kicker. Baron Miles just went right underneath and whoop.
Never touched him.
No.
A flop that would do the NBA proud on one of those times. Burgess saying, I've got the football. Now they say it is Miami's ball.
Tom Osborne can't believe it. Just never made the exchange with Clinton Childs.
Look at Short, and they're rooting the ball out, it appears. And Burgess will come away team moving before the turnover as the third quarter comes to an end for Osborne and his quest for the national championship. 2nd and 6 from their own 40. Costa's pass. Ferguson with a diving attempt. Did he get it? Apparently so. It'll be a catch short of the first down at the 42.
Costa, again, very slow to get up, and he could plant a little wheat in that helmet.
Pass complete to Ferguson.
He's about to plant a little corn if this lead stands up for them.
He got planted on that one.
Dirt out of his helmet. Well, he didn't even do that.
Trying.
Play clock to 8. Going deep down the sideline. Chris T. Jones battling with Baron Miles. And incomplete.
Costa's pass intended for Jones.
What's more exciting than that? When they take it, man-to-man coverage, only 2 guys within 30 yards of the football. If Baron Miles doesn't get his head around there, that is another big play because Chris T. Jones makes those catches. Brilliant play that time by Baron Miles.
That was Miami's first 3rd and short situation today. Costa not happy. And faced with 3rd and short, they threw deep. Oh, there we go. There it is again. Miles is chasing, and he kicks it out of bounds through the end zone. That'll be an illegal kick. Pruitt saw it sail 5 feet over his head, and then did his best Pele imitation.
Tom, this is a huge call now by the officials down on the goal line. If that ball went out on the 1-yard line, now Nebraska's in a position. If it goes out in the end zone, it's a safety.
Right.
I mean, this is a bit right here in the end zone. So did Baron Miles. Now he's signaling for a safety, but really what he would rather have is the ball on the 1-yard line. So he may be working against his own cause.
Pruitt kicks it. It goes through the end zone out of bounds. A safety is the correct call.
But I think, Tom, because of the penalty, it may well, you see it go into the end zone side of that pylon. Because of the penalty, they're going to get the ball back in the field of play. In other words, they can deny the net result of the kick and take it from the spot of the foul. And then march off the penalty from there.
Jeffrey Taylor, the man that snapped it. Pruitt, the man that kicked it. It looked like the World Cup instead of the National College Championship. And when it's all said, the sophomore from North Miami.
Tom, that's one of those plays as a quarterback that you have to either make the throw immediately or throw the ball away. It looked like the play had a chance. Gilman was open momentarily, but then when Behringer made the decision to hang on to it, just absolutely blew it. What a break for Nebraska and a blown play by Brooke Behringer.
On the touchback, Miami gets the ball at the 20, a 1-yard run by James Stewart. Nebraska has turned the ball over 3 times tonight.
You just wonder about Tom Osborne, a guy that has been criticized for being too conservative. Does that come into play in that type of situation, wanting to prove that you're not?
Costa has to run. He won't get far. It'll be a loss on the play, a sack credited to Dwayne Harris. He's the man that had the sack for the safety earlier. It'll be 3rd and long coming up for the Canes. They're not out of this yet. And Pruitt may be called on to punt again. Plenty of time for Frank Costa. Almost intercepted. There's a flag down. Phil Ellis made a diving attempt at the pickoff.
Intended for Harris.
And guard Terrell Green is arguing his case as it will be holding against.
Robinson will be downed at the 3-yard line.
What a kick.
That punt. He's down.
9:52 left. The best rushing attack in college football, averaging 340 yards a game, held to 112 tonight by Miami's top-ranked defense. However, they have gained a total of 203 yards, close to what Miami allows in a game.
Sometimes numbers lie and sometimes they don't. This is a Miami defense that they just don't give up any points or yards. So difficult to play against this Hurricane D.
Costa and company backed up to their own 4. 2. Great defensive play made by Doug Coleman, a backup linebacker.
I'll tell you what, Doug Coleman just shot the gap on this one and made a huge hit on Stewart. We talked about the speed of Miami, but really Nebraska has reshaped their defense. This is a defense that took their dime defense with 6 defensive backs and made it their base defense. They found that they could stop the run pretty well in there with those bigger defensive backs and speed in college football. Miami's been beating Nebraska for years with it. Nebraska tried a little of their own. Stewart.
Across the 5 to about the 7. Coleman again makes the tackle with help from Ed Stewart.
Does Nebraska's defense have another play? Those guys have been forced out on the field and forced to make big plays, but when your punt team backs a team up like that inside the 5-yard line, imperative that you go 3 and out. There's so few options offensively, especially when you're already sitting on an 8-point lead. You don't want to do anything crazy.
3rd and 6. 3 wides to the bottom of your screen. Costa's pass to Chris T. Jones, incomplete. Broken up by Baron Miles, who hit Jones as the ball arrived, and Costa again pays the price.
Miles on the coverage for Nebraska.
Thought Jones had a chance for this one.
6 from Miami 8.
Need to make that catch, especially on 3rd down. Baron Miles around the play again.
Frazier will throw. It's good. 2-point conversion. Eric Alford made the catch. Game tied at 17.
And redemption for Tommy Frazier.
And a smile for Brooke Berringer.
And hope for Tom Osborne. They've been forgetting about Schlesinger throughout the game. They were playing the option. And then Tommy Frazier. He can't throw. He can't throw. It's tied.
And a spring suddenly back in the step of Coach Tom Osborne. The body English didn't work.
And we're sorry we can't give you Joe Paterno.
17-17. Miami's last 3 possessions have resulted in punts. Stewart tackled at the line of scrimmage. Maybe he fell forward for a yard. Dante Jones hit him first.
And there's Ed Stewart, who didn't want to be moved to linebacker. He was a strong safety, and he was upset when they put him up there. He said, guys, block me from all angles. I got the tight end, I got the tackle, I got the guard, I got the back, I got the wide receiver cracking. All he is one of the top 3 linebackers in the country now.
Approaching the 7-minute mark. Number 1, Nebraska. Number 3, Miami, tied at 17. Before a record Orange Bowl crowd. Fake it. Costa going downfield, deep down the sideline. Chris T. Jones and Miles battling, and it's incomplete. That has been an ongoing war all night down that sideline. Chris T. Jones and Baron Miles.
And what would be better for Baron Miles on his birthday than to win a national championship?
Miami 21.
Chris T. Jones with a play, with a chance. But Baron Miles, after a slow start to this ball game, has just shown tremendous heart here tonight. He's been out there one-on-one the entire ball game. He's biting and scratching. He's not that fast. He can't jump that high, but he keeps making plays.
And what about the Nebraska defense? Miami still does not have a first down this quarter. 3rd and 9.
Miami Frazier we saw at the beginning of the season. Running the option the last time he pitched it, this time he fakes it. Watch the running ability. You have to be happy for the young man. He's fighting his way back from that blood clot. Just a horrible season for him. He wanted to come back, get a medical
here in the fourth quarter, holding the quick strike Miami offense to minus yardage.
And Nebraska really has been... Smile, Tom.
Sealer for the extra point. He got it. The Nebraska team has owned the fourth quarter. Corey Schlesinger has scored twice in this quarter, and Erickson's offense has been in reverse. Fatigue perhaps playing a part here on the Miami defense as Schlesinger rambles in for his second touchdown in this period.
The quick hitter right up the middle. Frazier's such a threat. They make it a trap block on it. Good blocking down the field by Muhammad. And Schlesinger is the unsung hero of this game. Not only with his blocking, but every time they've needed a big first down, when they needed a big play, Schlesinger has come up with it, and he was not going to be held out of that end zone.
The senior from Duncan, Nebraska, has given the Huskers their first lead of the game. And what about the blocking for Nebraska? They had people flat on their backs, the big offensive line, and even the wide receivers getting in on the act that time. And the pounding by the big guys up front taking its toll on Miami in this fourth quarter.
And you go all the way back to what we talked about at the beginning of the game. Zach Wiegert, the Outland Trophy winner, made a simple statement. He said, we want to go one-on-one, man-to-man against these guys for 4 quarters and just find out who really is the better man.
2 minutes and 46 seconds separate Tom Osborne from his first national championship. Diving catch made. Costa got away and then is taken down. Terry Connealy with a sack. Timeout taken with 2 minutes left. Tom Osborne's Cornhuskers leading 24-17. And over the years, the Orange Bowl has not been kind to that man.
Harry Tuttle, touchdown Clemson. And Clemson wins the national championship of college football.
Runner Gill rolling to his right for Nebraska. Throw, knockdown. Miami Hurricanes have knocked the ball down. They will win and hang on for the national championship.
Touchdown, Kevin Williams. And take it in. Touchdown, Florida State. So now 45 yards to get Cinderella, Nebraska, a national championship. And he hooked and left. Florida State wins.
The chiseled features of Tom Osborne now just 2 minutes away from that elusive national title.
And Tom, now this Miami offense is getting overwhelmed. And it comes down to one last play for Tom Osborne. One play for a national championship.
4th and 19 from the Miami 9.
Costa deep downfield, up for grabs, intercepted. Kareem Moss. Huskers, who held Miami this quarter with no first downs, will go on to win. It's just a matter of time now. And Tom Osborne, who so much wanted to please his dad that he took up athletics, finally has his national championship. And somewhere his dad has to be smiling. I see a lot of Tom Osborne in the words of Longfellow, who wrote, "Let us then be up and doing with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait." For 22 years he labored and waited, and now the moment is his. Let's go to John Dockery with the national champion coach, Tom Osborne.
You finally got it after a long time. Coach, you finally got it after a long time coming. What does it mean to you?
Well, it means a lot. I'm really proud of the players. Played a great game, a lot of heart.
You've come close. Coach, you've come close many times. It's all more sweeter now.
Well, it's enjoyable. Let's put it that way.
Did you somehow feel that this was your year coming into the game?
Well, I thought in the fourth quarter we'd be the best team, and we were. That's great.
What was the difference today?
Well, I think just we're probably in good condition, maybe a little stronger physically in the fourth quarter. Miami has a great team. I got to get it.
Congratulations, Coach. A terrific victory.
Thank you.
Tommy, back to you.
Okay, John. Tom Osborne, vintage Tom Osborne, gracious in victory as he always has been in defeat. Nebraska earns a national championship with a tough win over Miami in the Orange Bowl. Final score 24-17.